Sending data. Cool. We are streaming, folks. So, welcome everybody. We're gonna start probably around 8 a.m. folks. So I'm just getting it, open it up early if anyone wants to jump on, folks. So, give me a second. I'm gonna be taking care of a couple things. Cool. Alright, give it a couple more minutes, folks, and we'll get this show going. It's nice and early. Cool. For my person who is here, welcome everybody. So, everybody, I think we're going to get this show going a couple minutes early. Welcome, everybody. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be working with a board that I'm doing as a commission build for a friend. So the board we have right here is going to be the Tess65 by Divinikey. This is a board that ran in group buy late last year, and it was recently delivered to customers, and they're actually currently in stock at Divinikey right now. So it's a great little board. The group buy, prior to the current political situation here in the United States, this was like a $65 to like $70 keyboard. If you were to go on Divinikey's website right now, you're looking at probably about $85 to $90. That's just with kind of the adjustments for what's kind of going on in the world right now. But even with that slight price adjustment, this is still a fantastic board. If you're looking for a nice 65% keyboard for a very affordable price, this is a great board. The board I actually have right here is actually my personal Tess65. My buddy and I actually ordered these together when we joined the group buy last year. So this is my personal Tess65. This is a board I really enjoy. It's a nice, fun little board. I went with the green colorway. And I did the stainless steel add-on for the particular board, so that was really nice. So this is a really cool little board. I really enjoy having it. So I have it Novel Keys Heisenberg. So this is a Breaking Bad themed build. So these little novelties right here. I want the split backspace so I could have the iconic Breaking Bad logo on mine. And then as you can see some of the novelties down here that have some of the famous catchphrases. You have the famous Heisenberg and then a little drawing from the TV show. So this is a fun little board. I think all in for this total build is probably about $100. So it's a nice little budget build. Again, my collection, I have a lot of high-end, really expensive boards, but this is a fun little board that I enjoy having within my collection because it's just a nice go-to one. It's pretty light, and it sounds really great. Like, this is a board I really enjoy. So we're going to be building my buddy's Tess65. I have a really cool idea for what we're going to do with his board today. So we're going to kind of open up the box and go through it. So let me just kind of plug my board back in just so I can have my keyboard back. I'm going to put my Tess65 kind of towards the top. And we're going to go in and open the box. So This is the Tess65 box, nice and simple. Nothing too crazy about this particular board. So we're going with some Durox stabilizers today, so we'll lube those on camera today. Kind of walk you through what I do with them. My buddy opted to go for an aluminum plate, and we're also going to be top mounting this. So the Tess65 is a really cool board because you kind of have two options. You can have the gasket mount it, or you can top mount it. So depending on what feel or what sound profile you like, you can go with it. So my buddy wanted to go with top mount and have a stiffer typing feel. So we have our aluminum plate right here. So we'll put that to the side. Also with the Tess65, you kind of have two options. You can either go hot swap or you can go solder. So my buddy opted for solder. So we have a solder PCB, so we will be soldering today on stream. This is a really small board. It's not like we're going with a big full size. So this little PCB right here should get soldered relatively easily. So one thing that's also nice too, this is a 1.6 millimeter PCB as opposed to a 1.2 millimeter PCB. So really kind of easy, really kind of nice board to kind of work with. So we're going to put that one to the side. We also have screws and hardware, which we're going to utilize for the top mount. And then we're going to pull out the actual board here as well. So this is a nice little Tess65, again, from the folks at Divinikey. I had the opportunity to go to the Divinikey keyboard meetup a couple weeks ago, and it was fantastic. Really nice being able to meet the kind folks over at Divinikey and just kind of get to tell them about what their products mean to me and talk to them about all the good work they get to do. And it was nice also showing them some of my personal builds and meeting other members of the community. So we're going to put the box over to the side and kind of show off the Tess65 case that my friend went with. So my buddy opted to go with the blue Tess65 colorway. So you can kind of see the internals of the case. So the nice thing about the Tess65, you look at it, there is this seam right here. So you think that would be the top and the bottom case. That's actually not the case. So we do have a top and bottom case, but that is a faux seam that's kind of just there for aesthetic purposes. But really, really nice board. Really enjoy working with it. So you have this nice top right blocker that's made out of steel. And my buddy also opted to go with the stainless steel add-on. This was a $5 add-on over an aluminum weight. Again, adds a little bit more weight to the board, gives it a little bit of a nicer feel. So really good board. So we have just kind of an internal assembly right here. This is the bottom case. The one thing about this board, it is a screwless design. So most boards you're going to screw the top and bottom case in from the bottom. There are no screws here at the bottom. So what's kind of cool, this is a hidden screw design. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the whole PCB assembly and switches and solder those in, do the stabilizers, and then we'll drop that in. Before we install keycaps, we will then screw, again, the entire case assembly together. So some people love hidden screw assembly, some people don't. I personally don't have a problem with it. But it's going to be a fun little board that we're going to work with today. So we're going to put the case over to the side, and we're going to be working on stabilizers first and getting the stabilizers installed in the board. So, and then we'll kind of go through switch and keycap choice that my buddy wanted to go through. So, of course, we have our PCB. So the options, the nice thing about the Tess65, there are options, particularly with bottom rows. If you prefer a 6.25U spacebar, or if you prefer a 7U spacebar, if you want stepped caps. If you want to go an ISO shift, it's really nice. So there's a lot of, and also split backspace on this. So we're not doing anything crazy. We're going to do step caps lock. We're going to do a 7U spacebar, and we're going to do a full backspace, and then we're going to be doing a full ANSI enter. Nothing too crazy on this board, but it's going to be a nice, fun little build. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll put the PCB to the side. And as well as the plate to the side. So we're going to put those to the side, and we're going to work on the Durox stabilizers. We're just going to lube these today and get these nice and ready for the board. So one thing about stabilizers, there's a great variety of stabilizers on the market, everything from plate mount to PCB mount. These are what you call PCB mount stabs. So we're going to insert these into the PCB and screw them down through the PCB. So nothing too crazy, but we're going to be going with the 7U spacebar. So the 7U spacebar is a little bit bigger. So that's what we're going to be going with today in terms of wires. So we're going to have a total of four stabilizers that we're going to do here. So we just want to make sure we have all the parts for the stabilizers ready to go. So let me just kind of organize these and line these up. And I can kind of walk y'all through kind of my philosophy in terms of lubing stabilizers. So if you're going to build a custom keyboard, even if you're going to get a pre-built, I really recommend lubing stabilizers. It's not as difficult as it looks or as it sounds. But it really is a nice little mod that you can do to your keyboard that make it sound a lot better. One thing with stabilizers, if you don't lube them, they're going to rattle. The wires are going to be hitting different portions of the kind of stabilizer housing, and it's just not a pleasant sound. So we want our keyboards to sound nice, especially if we're spending major money on our keyboards. We want them to be really nice. So that's what we're going to kind of do here. So so we're going to get through. So what I like to use is Super Lube. It's just essentially dielectric grease. You could also use 205G0. I just use a light coating of Super Lube. That's what I prefer to use with my stabilizers. Again, one thing about this hobby, there's a ton of different things that you can utilize to make your keyboards sound great. Again, it's all personal preference. This is what I prefer to use on boards. I forgot to get my little brush thingy, so let me track that down in my drawer of tools. Where the heck are you? All right, give me a second, everybody. So, get all my keyboard tools over here. Oh, lordy. So, there we go, folks. So, that's what we're doing here. So, awesome. So, we're going to go through. So, essentially what you want to do with stabilizers, you want to lube the inner slider, all four portions of the inner slider housing, and then the portion that goes inside, you want to, again, do both sides of that housing as well. And then another thing we want to do on our stabilizers, we want to make sure that we have some lubricant on the short part of the stabilizer wire. This is the part that's actually going to go inside the stabilizer. So stabilizers are kind of really important. So they're mainly used on your bigger keys. Again, they do what the name says, they stabilize. So nothing too crazy. So we're just going to kind of go through. And again, I really like Durox. But there's a ton of great stabilizers on the market. The one thing about Durox, you've got to lube them properly to make them sound right. Some people kind of criticize the sound profile they create. So Durox, as long as you lube them properly, they're going to be just fine. So most of my boards have Durox stabilizers in them, and they sound fantastic. So Durox, you just got to put in the proper work to make these boards work appropriately. So that's what we're doing here. So we're kind of going through, just kind of lubing each of these portions, and then it'll be nice and quick. So nothing too crazy. So we're kind of going through, just making sure all that lube is in there, folks. So again, this is nice because we have one less stabilizer. We're not doing a full set of 5 for this particular board, which is really nice. So just kind of going through, adding some lube on these puppies, and then these will sound, once we get these together and assembled, we'll do a quick little sound test and make sure that everything is sounding correct. So that's kind of the big thing we want to do with your stabilizers. You always want to double check and test them, especially if you're doing a solder board, because once everything's soldered in, it's kind of a pain in the butt to desolder everything. So you want to make sure that everything is good to go once you get it installed. So kind of going through, doing that. So nothing too crazy, everybody. So it's a little too much. Don't want that. And another thing too with stabilizers, you don't want to over lube. That's another thing. If you over lube them, they can become kind of sticky and gummy, and that's also not the feel you want with your stabilizer. So it's kind of a process of trial and error. One thing with stabilizers and just lubing keyboard stuff in general, less is more. You don't want to overdo it, but you don't want to underdo it either. So I'd say start off with a very small amount, and if you can add it, go for it. But that's essentially what we are doing. So we're going there. Cool. Awesome sauce, everybody. So, all right. Got a couple people here. Welcome, everybody. So, again, it's bright and early today. It's Saturday. I got stuff to do. Another thing, too, folks. Again, I go by either Sergeant Finley or Finley Design Work. That's just kind of the handle or username I've just kind of utilized for a very long time. But one of the things, I've been in the keyboard hobby for a couple of years. I got in late 2023, but recently I discovered Alps and really getting into some of the more high-end stuff within the hobby. And I've also gotten into custom commissions, high-end commissions. So if you're interested in like an Alps keyboard, you don't want to do all of the tough restoration work, definitely reach out. I have a few commissions in the work that I'm currently working on for clients. We're just kind of waiting on parts to come in to get those shipped off to the clients. But I have one client who ordered a keyboard from me from the other day, and now yesterday they ordered a second keyboard from me. So I'm doing for one client. I'm doing 2 high-end keyboards for them that are Alps based. One of those we're actually going to be building later today. So if you want to jump on stream with me kind of later this afternoon, we're going to be throwing together a Frog TKL with orange Alps, which will be really cool. So it's a really cool little fun high-end build that we're doing. And then the other build that this client wanted is a custom Geon F18 XV2 with green Alps. And we're not talking like the super expensive green Alps. We're talking like linear Alps, which are a little more common. But yeah, I'm doing 2 builds for a client, and I have 2 other Alps commissions right now I'm working on for clients, 60% back in Echo, and actually another Frog TKL for a client. So if you're interested in a custom keyboard, let me know. Like, I also have a connection for Cerakote, so if you want a board that you really want to turn it into kind of a one-of-a-kind piece, you can, again, we can kind of talk prices in terms of doing custom coating, whether it be Cerakote, powder coat, to make the board truly one-of-a-kind. I have a few boards in my collection that are custom Cerakoted, that make them truly one of a kind. I just got a custom JO2 back, and it has a colorway for a very rare keycap set called DCS Alpine Winter. So yeah, some of my boards in my collection are pretty interesting and probably one of a kind. It's kind of fun just kind of seeing boards and kind of making them truly custom like that. So we got the, again, outer stabilizer housings, and now we're going to be doing the internal stabilizer housing. So looping stabs, not the most glorious or most interesting thing, but it is an important part of the build process. So we're just doing both sides of the inner stabilizer assembly. So we're just putting lube on that. So that's what we're doing right there. We got that one. And then we're going to do this one, folks. So we got, stabilizers, again, not the most glorious part of the build, but it is an important part. So we definitely want to make sure that these are going well. So we got those. And then also too, we're going to go and just kind of add these layers of lube. Just again, by doing this, this is going to make our keyboard sound a little bit better. So that's one thing that is just kind of really nice. But yeah, we have some really cool builds coming up. What's up, RCX? Greetings from Germany. That's a convenient streaming time for me to watch. Yeah, I know. I'm going to try and do some on the weekends, try and do some more earlier ones. But yeah, we're building a Divinikey Tess65 for a friend. So my friend has been pretty busy, so what we're going to be doing is just kind of assembling it for him. And he said, yeah, you can do it on stream for me. And I'm like, cool, so this will be a fun time. So Tess65, really fun little board by Divinikey. They ran the group buy last year, and the idea was to make a full aluminum keyboard for about $65 US. Which was an insane deal. So when they ran the group buy, it was kind of before the current political situation that's here in the United States. I'm not here to talk politics because that's neither here nor there. But the reality of the political situation in the United States is our government has introduced tariffs on various countries. So these boards were manufactured in China. So Divinikey ate the tariff cost when they came into the country because the customers had already paid for them. So major props to Divinikey. But Divinikey has actually started selling these as in-stock boards, but they had to raise the price. So the board is about $80 now. So they did that price increase just to kind of, again, accommodate for the current political situation here in the United States. But even for $80, this is a fantastic keyboard kit. Again, it's all aluminum. You can have a stainless steel weight on it, and you can have the whole keyboard kit for less than $100. Like my Tess65 right here, I bought it for the original group buy price. All in, this is less than $100. So I'm really more into like the high-end keyboard stuff, but this is a really cool, fun little board that I just enjoy having. And also, it's a themed build too. Like my Tess65 is themed to Breaking Bad, one of my all-time favorite TV shows. So, I mean, just to have a fun themed meme build, it's just kind of fun. So, like, I really enjoy my Tess65. Again, is this as good as like my Kohaku or like my TGR 910? Not really, but it's good enough for the price that it is. It's pretty good. So I think that's good too. It's a really good entry level board, and I think that's what I got to go to the Divinikey meet a couple weeks ago here in Los Angeles, and it was awesome being able to meet the team from Divinikey. They had some prototypes. They got to meeting their staff and some of their friends and family who had some amazing boards and other members of the community. Like, it was really cool, like, what people are doing. Like, I'm really more interested in a lot of the more high-end keyboard stuff. But I think a lot of companies like Divinikey, QWERTY Keys, and some of these other brands who are doing some really great work making boards that are really kind of opening up the keyboard hobby to the masses. Like, you can get some great boards for probably less than $200 to $250. Like, it's fantastic. So, like, you don't need to spend a lot of money. I mean, yeah, some of these higher end boards, so like a Kohaku or like TGR stuff is awesome. I get it. But like, there's still some great budget board stuff. I think I think they're doing some really, really good work. Like again, like QWERTY keys and their Neo line is like they're freaking killing it. Again, Divinikey with the Tess65. Again, the people at OmniType with the Bauer Light. Like really, really cool stuff that's happening. And I think that's a great thing because it opens up the doors to bring people into the hobby. And once they kind of start off with stuff that's a little more affordable, maybe they can, as their tastes change, they can get into some of the higher end stuff, like going over to like a Singa board or like an MM Studio or Geon Works or stuff like that. There's a ton of great boards, and I think that's the great thing about it too. Like I tell people, like at the end of the day, this is your keyboard, and it's a tool that you're going to use to interface with your computer and make it fun. Like honestly, if your board's a budget board, who the hell cares? Like just have fun with it. That's just kind of my 2 cents on it. At the end of the day, just have fun with it. I think that's what's really cool. So like I mean, like you don't have to go crazy high end. Like again, like I'm doing 2 Alps commission builds for a client. He commissioned 2 builds with me, and I'm going to be building it later on stream today. The second one kind of came last minute yesterday. He ordered a Geon F18X with green Alps, and then yesterday he messaged me, "Hey man, can I do more commissions with you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm happy to do it." So he said, like, "Can you do like a Geon Frog TKL with orange Alps?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got you, man. I got you." So it's funny, the Frog TKL parts, I have all of those on hand. So I'm going to build that one and get that shipped out to the guy on Monday. But the Geon F18X, like I had to order most of the parts for the internal assembly. And then the client tracked down a Geon F18X in this layout and colorway they wanted. So that's coming from a user in Australia, and they're just shipping it directly to me. So yeah, as I said, I also do commission builds. So like if you, I mean, I'll do like assembly for like an MX board, but like what I'm really trying to specialize in is Alps custom high-end builds. So like I have those 2 builds for this one client, but I have another client we're doing also a Frog TKL, and then another client we're doing a tray mount back in Echo, which is really cool. So really kind of cool. So we got our big spacebar assembled, and then we're putting in our other stabilizers as well. So really kind of fun. Just kind of seeing again different types of boards. But yeah, like I said, I have I landed some boards that we're going to be promoting for group buys, which is going to be really cool. So there's a board called the BP1 by a guy named Luke Barron at Barron Boards. It's based off of McLaren P1. So it's a board Luke has really been trying to get off the ground. So I was talking with Luke, and he's actually going to be sending me one of his prototypes to build on stream, probably in August. Luke is currently on a business trip and not available to ship the board out. So in a few weeks, he'll be sending it to me, and we'll be building the Barron BP1. Luke's kind of navigating the complex political dynamic here in the United States, especially with importing things and tariffs. So he's trying to find a way to manufacture the board and import the board where the board is still affordable to people. Because again, he's going to be doing a small run. He's just one guy. So that's another cool board. We also have another board called the QFRL 100. So that's going to be an F-Row-less 100% keyboard. That's also Alps compatible, which is really kind of cool. And I'm actually helping with the process of developing the Alps plate and the Alps PCB for that particular board, which is awesome. And then potentially I'm working with Chester at Keybay Tech to review his upcoming 65% here on stream and social media. So that would be really cool. So Chester's aiming for probably like September, October to launch that board, and he's aiming for like a $200 to like $250 price point. So Chester's a good friend of mine, but like some of the boards I want to promote are boards that I would buy with my own money. Like I'm not going to promote a board that I wouldn't buy for myself. That's like another thing too. Like for example, like this Tess65, I'm promoting it technically, but I own one personally myself, and I paid for it with my own money. So that's like a cool thing with me. So we got the stabilizers assembled, which is really nice. So what we're going to do now is we are going to be screwing them into the PCB. So let me just kind of put my lube supplies aside, wipe my hands off so I get some of that lube off. But essentially that's what we're going to be doing. So let me get my plate. Sorry, not my plate, my PCB. Again, another thing that's cool about the Tess65, it supports a wide variety of layouts. So if you want a 7U spacebar bottom or you want a 6.25, they support step caps, split backspace, ANSI and ISO enters for my Europeans if you really like ISO, which is really kind of cool. So really fun little board. So what we're going to be doing is, again, we are going to be screwing these puppies in. So I just want to put my stabilizers in and put the board to the side, and then we'll prepare the screws and the washers for the PCB. Oops, I got to go over. Perfect. So yeah, this is a fun board. I think if people are looking, if someone's looking for a 65%, I think that's probably the most popular layout right now. I mean, the 65% market is just kind of crazy. Like, everyone and their mother is making a 65%. So there's a lot of really great options, and I think if someone's more budget conscious, I think this is a great board for someone to purchase. And again, they also have a hot swap version of this board. So I know solder is a little more advanced, especially for someone who's more of a novice or a beginner who doesn't have the soldering equipment or is in like a living situation where they can't solder. There are hot swap options for this board, which I think make it really, really nice. So a really, really nice board. So again, we got our stabilizers in there. I haven't screwed them in yet. So I gotta get my screws out and my washers just so we don't short things on the PCB. But overall, it's a really nice board. I really enjoy working with it. Again, I personally love my Tess65. It's probably one of the few budget boards I have in my personal collection. But budget boards can also be fun, but I'm also very particular. Budget boards, I really want something metal. I really don't bother with a lot of the polymer or plastic boards on the budget end, just because, I don't know, I want something, it can be budget, but I want it to feel nice. So, but I'm not against PC boards. Like, some of the polycarbonate boards are usually more interested in some of the higher end stuff, like CNC'd polycarbonate, instead of like stuff that's like injection molded. So that's just stuff that I'm really kind of interested in. Is more of those high end like boutique boards. Is really what I'm interested in. But yeah, I have some boards that we're going to be promoting on stream that are just really interesting to me, and that I've had interactions with the creators, and I'm just really passionate about those boards. And again, to the folks at Divinikey, like, I really support what you guys are doing. I think they're doing really good work within the community. And it's cool, too, because, like, I live here in Southern California. I live in the Los Angeles area. So it's really kind of nice being able to see those folks doing what they're doing. And Divinikey is actually really close to where I am here in LA, which is really nice. So I drive by their warehouse, like, all the time. So, like, they're really close. And it's nice that they're right here in Southern California, Los Angeles-based. So that's just really kind of nice, just kind of seeing the Divinikey folks. And they're a really nice team over there. And again, if you are in the States, especially if you're maybe in like California or like Southern California, I've had times I order Divinikey and I use like the standard shipping, and the stuff will arrive next day because I'm like so freaking close to their warehouse. So they're really cool, really nice guys and gals over there. So we're going to screw these in. Let me get my screwdriver, and then we'll screw these stabilizers in, and then we'll just kind of tune the stabilizers. And then we'll start inserting switches and kind of go over what switches my buddy opted to go for. That's the kind of the cool thing with these. So we'll flip this puppy over, and we will start screwing these things in. So again, we're going with lube Durox stabilizers today. Some people kind of crap on Durox stabilizers. I think they're personally fine. You just have to properly lube them. Once you put the work into the Durox, they're fine, honestly. Like, and they're pretty widely available. Like here in the States, I can get a pack of Durox on Amazon and have them either same day or next day, depending on when I order them. So, and again, like considering how many high-end boards I have Durox in pretty much most of my personal custom builds. So I really like them. But again, there's a ton of really great stabilizer options on the market for people. So that's the really, really nice thing about it. So we're just kind of going through, folks, and assembling these. So yeah, so it's nice doing a Cherry MX build. I'm more of an Alps guy at this point. But again, we will be doing an Alps build later today for a client. So today we're gonna be doing a Silver Frog TKL with orange Alps. So that'll be really nice. So we're gonna kind of throw that build together a little later today. I got stuff I gotta take care of in the middle part of the day, so it'll probably be later this evening. So my friends over in Europe or other parts that y'all might maybe be asleep, but it'll be it'll be a fun build that's gonna be on YouTube. So another thing too I'm doing too, you can see up in the corner I have my socials. So these are the main socials that I'm primarily active on. So if you ever have questions, I'm happy to answer questions from the community, or if someone wants to do a commission, or you know someone who wants a commission or a board they want assembled, I'm happy to do it. But another thing too, I'm also working on getting these streams concurrently over to YouTube, because I know I've had some people reach out who are in other countries telling me that they can't watch the streams because they don't get Twitch in their country. So I have it on YouTube, but I'm also recording this stream as well, and I'll also have it uploaded to my YouTube channel as well. So if someone's interested enough to watch it, they're welcome to do so. So that's kind of the nice thing. So I'm going to just put a little bit of lube inside the stabilizers, just to make sure there's a little less rattle on the wires, and then we'll kind of go from there. So we're just kind of putting some lube, just kind of gives the wires something to kind of interact with and interface with. I just really don't like rattle in my stabilizers. That's just no good. And then we're going to get some switches out and then test these, and then we'll be pretty good to go. So, all right, we'll put the lube over to the side, folks. And then we are going to be checking out our plate. So again, my buddy opted to go for a full aluminum plate. The Tess65. Nice. Yeah, again, I'll have that video. Again, that Alp stream I should have uploaded to YouTube on Sunday. It's going to be later this evening, so I'll just have it upload to YouTube overnight. Because that one will be a longer stream. This stream, we're probably only going to be on here. We'll probably be done in the next 50 to 60 minutes. This is a relatively simple build, but that Alp stream will probably be, I don't know, like 2 or 3 hours, because Alps builds are a little more involved in terms of what I got to do for them. But MX builds, I can crank them out pretty quick. So, but yeah, it's a really fun build. And again, also too with Alps, like I just want to educate people and share, like again, the really fun part of Alps. So what we have here are Cherry MX Ergo clears that my buddy actually modded himself. So these are Cherry MX Ergo clears. They're a tactile switch. He lubed them, he filmed them, and he also spring swapped and oiled the springs. One thing about Ergo clears, these stems, for some reason from Cherry, are a little bit bigger. We're using GMK keycaps on this today, and I'll show you the GMK set in a second. But these particular these particular stems are a little out of spec and a little big for GMK keys, particularly GMK keycaps. So if you ever use these in a build and you want to use GMK, make sure you trim the stems. My buddy has already trimmed the stems and done all the modifications to these. But again, you really want to be careful if you're using these switches. And there's a couple other switches from Cherry's inventory and just kind of catalog that kind of have this issue. But overall, Cherry switches are good. But my kind of opinion on factory Cherry switches is you gotta lube them and you gotta mod them. That's the only thing. Like most Cherry switches to me sound like crap if they're not properly lubed or modified. So like my Kohaku has vintage Cherry MX blacks. I spring swapped those. I lubed those and filmed them, just to make sure that they sound nice. That's just kind of what you got to do with Cherry. I mean, most MX switches, I mean, some of the factory lubing has been getting pretty good, but I think Cherry switches, in my personal opinion, really, really need to be modified for them to sound not like garbage. But I do love me some OG Cherry switches. I think they're really cool. Like, again, I know some folks, I was talking with some folks on Discord who went to the GMK keyboard meetup, and I'm like, I am so jealous. I would love to go to Germany. I would love to meet the guys from Cherry and the guys at GMK and like Oblotsky and some of those European vendors. Because those folks are pretty cool. Or like Jay over at Prototypist. So it's really kind of cool. So again, we have those kind of these stabilizer keycaps, and I'll show you guys the keycaps I want to use today. So we're using GMK Blue Alert. So we're going with some classic beige today. Since the board was blue, I talked with my buddy about what GMK cap sets he would want to use, and Blue Alert seemed like a really good choice. So like I'm a big GMK fan. Again, are they expensive? Absolutely, but I think they're really cool, and I just like GMK as a company. So I just want to get these stabilized keys out of here, and I just want to do some tests on these particular switches. So I just want to make sure that things are good, and we're actually going to go with the alert row on this. So let me figure out where my alert row is, and we'll use the blue enter. So we're going to use some of the blue accent keys today. So we're going to get my enter, and again, my buddy did stem trim these, which is really nice. So we're just going to basically just be testing the stabilizers and just seeing if they sound good. That's essentially what we're doing right now. All right, so yeah, that sounds like a Cherry. It sounds like a Cherry switch. Alright, I think those sound pretty good. So I'm going to take the keycaps off and I think put the GMK to the side. I think that's pretty good for what my buddy wants to do. So, but yeah, we're going Blue Alert on this puppy today. So that's a nice, really nice and fun set. Oh, there you go. There we go. Did that? Oh, no. Oh, that was just the keycap. I'm like making sure my buddy did tell me he stem trim these. So, like I said, these are like my precious GMK. So, really good GMK stuff right here. So I'm just going to put my GMK to the side because that's probably going to be the last thing we're going to do on this build. So we're going to insert the switches now. So again, these are modified Cherry MX clears that my buddy modded. So these are lubed, filmed, spring swapped. So he pretty much did the works on these. Ergo clears, really cool switch. I really enjoy. I've enjoyed using them. I've yet to use them in any of my personal builds. I mean, I have a pretty extensive like MX switch collection. But My buddy has another build that has utilized Ergo clears, and they're really good switch once you put the work in to like really kind of modify them and make them really, really nice. So really, really nice switch I enjoy working with. So, I mean, I do like cherry switches. I mean, some people really want to go into some of the more fancy aftermarket, but like I said, my Kohaku, it's a beautiful, I mean, it's a beautiful board design-wise, but it just sounds so good with just vintage cherry MX blacks on aluminum. So that's just a board I really have enjoyed. So really, really good board. So I mean, I've had some interactions with Elaine. Like when I bought my Kohaku secondhand, and I got really lucky in the deal I got. But I had a really good conversation with Elaine because she kind of helped me verify that, like, hey, is this Kohaku like legit? Is it real? So Elaine really kind of helped me pick up my Kohaku, which is really nice. So that's just one of the cool things with Elaine. Like one of the unfortunate things, like boards like the Kohaku, there are fakes out there, and some people try to pass off the fakes as real ones. So I really was really kind of grateful and thankful when I picked up my Kohaku that Elaine like really kind of came in clutch, helping me verify that, hey, like the one I'm getting is legit. So because like that's probably one of my personal favorite boards that I have, and it's also probably my most expensive. I got really lucky. I found some Kohakus. People ask like, absurd amounts of money for them. It's a $600 board. I paid MSRP for mine. So the guy, I got it off a user in New Zealand who had literally never really taken it out of the box. He was original owner from the group buy. He had the color and the variation I wanted, and we talked business. And yeah, he said, "Yeah, I'll ship it to you." So it was great. Like he wasn't trying to rip me off or make a profit. He just wanted the board to go to someone that would actually use it, because he said like it literally was just sitting in his closet. So 65%. I have a pretty decent amount of really cool 65% in my collection. Like Kohaku is kind of like my cream of the crop in terms of my 65s, but like I have a TGR 910, I have a Matrix Vita, I have a Boop, which is a really cool little board. I have a Rama Works Ion Zenith, which is really cool. So like I'm kind of 65%ed out. I have some 65% on group buy that are coming. So like I got the MM Studio Class 65. I got the Matrix Labs NOS. I'm a big fan of Matrix Labs. You either love Matrix or you despise them. I really like them. My buddy who I'm building this board for, he can't stand Matrix Labs. He just does not like the design aesthetic. But overall, these are really cool. These are really cool boards. Like that are coming in. Like I'm really excited for the Matrix Labs NOS. If you haven't seen the Matrix Labs NOS, it is a very insane design. That's just kind of what Matrix is. That's kind of their trademark. They make absolutely insane balls to the walls boards, and you either love their design language or you don't. That's just kind of how Matrix is. So another thing I'm noticing about this board too, especially if you get the solder version, these like sockets are like ridiculously tight. So this is the kind of board like once it's soldered together, it's gonna be like that till you're at for like the end of time. Like desoldering this board would absolutely suck, because these are really freaking in there. So I mean that's a good thing. I mean it's just like it's a really good quality PCB. Whoever like Divinikey like had manufactured PCB, I think they did a really good job on this PCB. So I think it's really awesome. So we're going in, insert the switches, and then again once all these are inserted, we'll fire up the soldering iron and then my just kind of fume sucker thing, just so I'm not breathing in all that crap. So we're just getting these inserted, folks, and we're just going to kind of go from there. So we're just kind of getting those in there. So yeah, these are a very tight fit, but really, really good switches. And again, just kind of reminiscent of my, oh yeah, those are going to sound fantastic. So, and again, we are going to be top mounting this. So the Tess65 is a really cool little board because you can actually top mount this board. Or you can gasket mount, so if you want. And also there's a ton of different plate materials that Divinikey offers with this particular board. So depending on what is your personal preference for plate material, and if you want a more stiffer or you want a more bouncy feel. Also there's foam that comes with these boards as well. So like personally, my buddy and I, our taste, we don't like foam on our keyboards. But if you are a person who likes the sound profile that foam produces, again, they also have a really nice foam kit that comes with this board as well. So it's a very nice, very easy board to build. Like especially if you're like a person buying a first-time keyboard, this is a very easy, very straightforward board to build. It's not an advanced build. So and that's one thing that's also just nice about this board. Again, it's very entry level, very friendly to a novice builder or just a novice person in the hobby. This may be their first, or heck, this just may be their only custom keyboard they ever get. This is a fantastic little board. I think people would really enjoy having. And again, people who are making boards like this in the custom space, but for like this super more affordable option, I think is really nice. So I give major props to the people at Divinikey for making a board like this, to make a board that's very accessible for everyone on the market. I think that's just amazing of them to do that. That's just really, really wonderful that they're doing that. And also another stream, if you guys are interested, I'm going to be on stream Monday night as well. I'm going to be building a Treeleaf 917 for this same friend. So if you don't know, the Treeleaf 917 is a Porsche 917 themed keyboard. The board ran, I'd say, about 2 or 3 years ago, and it was made by a guy named Treeleaf, and it was a very, very limited run keyboard. Treeleaf, according to Treeleaf, they only made about 51 of these Porsche boards, and I actually happen to have one, and my friend has one. My friend needs me to rebuild his board, and I'm happy to rebuild his board. And what's cool, we're gonna have the designer Treeleaf on stream with me when I build it on Monday. So Treeleaf is someone I've become actually very good friends with, and I asked him if he would be gracious enough to be on stream and be in the chat, interacting and answering questions about his board. And he graciously agreed to give some of his time to kind of join us on that stream. Happy Saturday. What's up? What's up, Carl? So we're building here the Tess65, so a really cool board. But yeah, on Monday, if you definitely want to see a really cool, really unique board, again, we will be building a Treeleaf 917. Let me just kind of pull it out and just kind of show you all mine. Give me a second, folks. So the board, this is my personal Treeleaf 917, and it's, in my personal opinion, probably one of the most beautiful boards I own. It's just the design and the aesthetic of this board is awesome, but it's themed after the iconic Porsche 917. So this is my personal one, but we're going to be building it on stream with Treeleaf on Monday at 5 p.m. PST. So if you really want to see a really cool board, there's not a lot of content out there about the Treeleaf 917, unfortunately, just because it is an older board, but it's also just, there's only like 50 of them in existence. So it's a very, very small run board. And the fact that me and my buddy have 2 of them between us is really, really cool. So that's another just kind of stream that's coming up on Monday at 5 p.m. PST. So I just got to do a quick thing on spacing really quick. These bottom rows, I just got to figure out which spacing I'm going with. So give me a quick second. I got to pull some keycaps just to figure out how we are spacing these keycaps apart. I think it's the closer one. So I'm going to put that space bar on and just figure out spacing. So which PCB is this for the test? So we are going with a solder PCB. So this is my personal test, and this is my buddy's. We ordered these together in the original group buy last year. We both are pretty deep in the hobby, and we're pretty big enthusiasts, so we prefer solder for our boards. But the Tess65 has a wired hot swap and also a tri-mode hot swap Bluetooth PCB. So this is a really nice board where you can use hot swap, Bluetooth, hot swap, or you can use a wired solder PCB. So there's a lot of really great options, and even all these boards have, again, great layout support, especially for 6.25U space bars, 7U space bars, step caps lock, split backspace, ISO or ANSI enter. So there's a lot of really great options for this little board. So this board right here is really interesting because it ran late 2024. What's up, Naveed? So one thing that's really kind of cool about this board is the original price was $65 US, but that was in late 2024 for the group buy. These finally are in stock keyboards at Divinikey. The price is raised a little bit. It's not the original $65. You're going to be between $80 to $85 for this keyboard kit. And the reason that price is adjusted is because of the current political situation here in the United States with imports and tariffs. I'm not here to talk politics or debate politics. It just kind of is what it is. But that is, they had to adjust the price for the current political situation here and just kind of that uncertainty that comes with it. But even at $80 to $85, this is a really, really good board. So I tested this PCB the other evening. So this PCB does work. So we're good to go. But that's also just a good rule of thumb when you're dealing with solder PCBs. Make sure you test it. You just get some tweezers, plug in the PCB, and then just kind of go from switch to switch. Just kind of having like a switch tester like via open, and you can test the switches. But overall, this is a really good PCB. So I'm just kind of figuring out the spacing of the bottom because we are going with a 7U spacebar. So I just want to figure out. Sometimes I always get confused which one it is. So I just want to make sure. And I think that's the correct spacing. So let me just double check the spacing is correct. on these keys, and then we should be pretty good to go. So we are going right there. So what's up, everybody? So we just want to make sure that bottom row is nice and evenly spaced out. But yeah, we're going with Blue Alert today, one of my favorite GMK keycap sets, and that is our bottom row. So yeah, we're going nice 7U. So let me take these keycaps off. Another thing too about soldering, you don't want your keycaps on there when you're soldering. I don't know, sometimes maybe some solder may get on your precious keycaps, especially if they're nice expensive GMK. So you want to make sure that your keycaps are not attached. And also this board is a hidden screw design, so literally the last thing we'll do is keycaps. So there we go. So we are good to go. So this board is pretty much ready to go. We have our stabilizers tuned. They're all lubed. So we're going with Duroc V2 stabilizers that have been lubed. We have Cherry MX Ergo Clear tactile switches that my friend lubed, filmed, and spring swapped and oiled the spring. So these switches have pretty much had every mod in the book done to them. And then of course we have an aluminum plate, and then we have these solder PCB. So we're gonna get my soldering equipment ready to go. Let me just kind of push my personal Tess65 out of the way and put these extra Ergo Clears to the side. So just put those up there. And let me get my stabilizer stuff put away as well. So we're just kind of putting everything over to the side just so we can get this board put together. And then we'll be pretty good to go. So let me fire up the soldering iron. Oh my gosh, that would be horrible. Soldering iron was like cranked all the way up. I don't want that. I don't want to burn my stuff. So there we go. There's a soldering iron. Let me get my solder. So again, this is a great board. Yeah, I feel you, man. Busy being running around. Trust me. I have. We're doing a stream later today, folks, where we're going to be building a custom client commission build. We're doing a Frog TKL with orange Alps. This client, or I had a client earlier this week reach out to me twice to commission 2 very high-end Alps custom keyboards. So I gotta, once I'm done with this stream, I got some stuff I gotta take care of today, and later this evening I'll be on stream and also VOD to assemble this kind of high-end custom Alps build, which will be really cool for this client. So we're gonna get that built later today, and then we'll ship that out to the client on Monday. His other build that this client's having me do is a custom Geon F18X. That I ordered all the parts for that one. Those are going to be coming to me. The client tracked down an F18X in the color and layout that they wanted, and it's actually shipping to me from Australia. So that one will probably be a couple weeks before we get that one in. But I've told the client I have all the parts on hand for a Frog TKL that they wanted to build. So that's really kind of cool. So we're gonna start soldering. Another thing about soldering too, you want to be in a well ventilated space. Usually have like a fan or AC going. And also you want to get like something to kind of suck up the fumes of the solder. And that's just kind of a weird and kind of interesting thing. These fumes for solder, you really don't want to be breathing this stuff in. So, but yeah, soldering is really easy. Like it's a really easy, really accessible thing to do. So if you hear the noise, that's this kind of filter thing kind of sucking in any types of fumes. So I am not breathing those in. That's just something you really want to be careful. You don't want to be breathing this crap in. You want to take care of your lungs, take care of your body, everybody. So, so what I'd like to do with soldering, I do 4 corners first, just to kind of hold everything down, and then I'll start going row by row. This is a small board, so it should be relatively quick. But soldering is a pretty easy thing to do. Once you that first board you do it, it can be nerve-wracking, but once you get it going, it's pretty simple. So, I can solder boards together pretty quickly. So where do you feed the wire? I literally just, oh my gosh, hello. Yeah, you just feed it into the iron. So literally that's what I'm doing. So I just literally just touch the iron to the socket, and then I just touch the wire, and it melts the socket, and then the soldering iron melts it, and that creates a little connection that holds the switch in place. So, yeah. So solder builds are, yeah, Carl, you are absolutely right. Solder builds are going to be, like once you get into like the enthusiast level boards, like the super high-end boards, most of them are only going to have solder as an option. That's just kind of the thing. But also once you get into solder, you kind of have an idea of what you like in terms of switches, in terms of sound profile, in terms of feel. So like a lot of my solder boards, once I have them together, they stay like that forever. Yeah. So yeah, it depends on the solder, and also the soldering iron really needs to be hot. Like I usually run my soldering iron between 350 to 400 degrees Celsius. That's usually an ideal temperature that again makes the solder really easy to work with. And also you want a good soldering iron. Like, I have a really, and that's another thing too, like proper soldering equipment probably could run you between like $100, $150. Like between this vent and like my soldering iron, probably $150 total, but it's a good investment to have good, just a good soldering setup. And also too, if you get into solder boards, like if you have a lot like me, you also want a desoldering equipment as well, because you may have to desolder boards sometimes, especially like with me with high-end client builds. I really just take the time to desolder boards sometimes, especially with the Alps builds. So let me just get these bottom rows in, and we'll just double check how everything is lining up, and we'll be pretty good. So, but really good times. But yeah, so there we go, folks. So we have kind of our 4 corners in there. So now what we're going to do, I'm just going to go row by row, and we're going to start putting everything in. But yeah, everything looks pretty good for these solder points. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do the, we'll start with the space bar row, and we'll just kind of work our way down the board. Yeah, but again, I think the key with soldering, you want a good soldering iron that can hold a consistent temperature. So like I run my soldering iron at 400 degrees Celsius, and I've had no issues with anything. So that's just the temperature I like to run mine at. But anywhere between 350 and 400 degrees Celsius is ideal for a soldering iron. And I mean, heck, if you want recommendations, you can get the soldering iron I use is like $60 soldering iron, and it's fantastic. Like, it's my freaking workhorse. But there are more high-end soldering irons you can get, but those are really for like more high, like really people who are professionals who work with electronics. I'm just a guy who messes around in his man cave, so $50 soldering iron does it for me. So yeah, you're running around yeah, you want 350. I would increase it, maybe go to like 375 or 400 degrees Celsius. It also depends on the solder you use. You might want to look at the specs of the solder, like what temperature like is recommended on like the box or whatever, the spool. But yeah, overall, it's just a really kind of, I can make like kind of easy work of solder boards. Like I had like one day where I cranked out like 4 boards in like a day, like soldering. So it's pretty easy. Like honestly, like you just kind of get into a rhythm of it, and it's kind of therapeutic in a really kind of strange way. So it's really kind of nice. And also too, like me being into high-end Alps, like when you get in like the world of Alps, solder is the only way to go. So that's kind of the interesting thing when you look at solder in Alps. But like Cherry MX, again, like hot swap, awesome, especially if you're someone who switches a ton. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to Key Life in Los Angeles in September. I would absolutely do like a workshop on soldering. I really recommend people try getting into soldering. Again, hot swap is great. Like it's really opened up the hobby and allowed more and more people to get into the hobby and make it more accessible. I love that about hot swap. And also like there have been times too where like I need to fix something on a board, or I want to swap switches, and it is kind of a hassle to kind of go through and desolder everything. Now I have a desoldering tool that makes my life 1,000 times easier, but it's also like not cheap. Like if you want to, like if you get into soldering and you're soldering a lot of boards, I really recommend, in addition to a soldering iron, getting a tool called a Hako FR301. I think that's a really good board. But yeah, like I said, this is just a great board. And like I said, overall, like Divinikey, like I went to the Divinikey meet, Carl, a few weeks ago, and I absolutely loved it. Meeting your folks over there, like your team is wonderful. I think you guys are doing really good work. And like I said, like I'm relatively new doing like social media stuff. I've been a hobby for a while, but like doing like this social media stuff or doing stream stuff, I'm relatively new to. But one of the things I just want to do, like I only want to do things on stream that things I would buy with my own money. Like I bought these Tess65s, my friend and I bought with our own money. And because we believe in this product. Like it's a really good product, and I still scratch my head around how you guys at Divinikey like pulled this project off. I still don't know how you did it, but props to you guys for doing it. Like it's a really cool project, and even with the adjusted price that you guys have right now for the Tess65 in stock, it's an amazing friggin' price. So that's something I think is just so cool about the Tess65. Like, it's just a wonderful little board. And, like, my board is a Breaking Bad board. Like, it's fun. And I think at the end of the day, like, yeah, do we all love, like, the high-end boards, like the Singas and the TGRs and all that stuff? Like, yeah, they're awesome. But, like, there's just something about boards in this price range that are just still fun. And I think that still make the hobby, I think, fun and accessible to so many people. And I think that's the big thing I love about boards like this. Like, even though personally I love the high-end stuff, but I'm like an enthusiast. Not everyone's like me. Your average person who's a novice, maybe only getting 1, maybe 2 boards, boards like this are doing great work on bringing those people into the hobby and kind of opening the gateway to the rest of, like, some of the more high-end stuff. Like your Geons, your Singas, like your TGRs, things like that. Or like Marisi, or Matrix Labs. So that's one thing. I think boards like this are very much like gateway drugs to bring people into the hobby in a really fun and accessible way. So, like, I do the sides too. So we're going to kind of go through and bring boards in like this. So, like I said, I got some folks on here from Divinikey, which is awesome. So, like, it's weird. I live not too far from actually where Divinikey is, like, kind of, like, based for their warehouse and, like, fulfillment. And one thing I love about Divinikey, like, if I need something really quick, I can do, like, standard shipping on Divinikey's website, and it'll be here, like, the next day, because, like, I'm so close to them. So, which I think is freaking awesome. And, like, again, the folks at Divinikey, I think, do really good work. And they're definitely, if you're based in the United States, like, definitely they're a vendor you want to support. And even more so if you're in, like, the state of California, or heck, if you're in Los Angeles, like, if you need something, you can get to them from relatively quickly. So, like, they're just, again, they're one of those vendors that I just genuinely support. And just for transparency, they didn't pay me to say any of that. That's just something I genuinely believe. Like I said, like someone in the chat, my friend Naveed, he got his F1. I'll tell you something, Carl. Like, I've asked previously, past couple years, about local pickup, and I get, like, that's probably a little more liability and trying to have, like, a safe place within your warehouse where, like, you could have customers go and pick up, and that's more logistics on your end. But if you had local pickup, there's such a large keyboard community, I'm pretty sure customers would even be willing to pay a little extra to do local pickup. And I think it would be a really good thing. I know there's probably things on the business end that you guys would have to figure out. And again, just for, like, liability and overhead and things like that. But if you guys could figure out an option for local pickup, I think it would be fantastic. Like, there are certain vendors, I think, that will do local pickup for, like, if like, customers are, like, close to them. I know, like, Kinetic Labs. I think Keybay Tech will even do local pickup if someone's close enough. Makaiba do it. So I just know it is more logistics. Like, I know there's just things you guys have to look into as a business, but I would like, as someone who purchases from your company a lot, I would do it. And I know other people in the keyboard space who would absolutely support a local pickup option here in, like, Southern California. But again, I think that's just something, like, just an idea to put out there. And again, I know there's just things you guys would have to do on the business side to figure it out. But I think it's something absolutely, I think there would be enough interest to make it worthwhile for you guys as well. I think that's a really good thing to do. So, but yeah, like, also Divinikey, I think it's cool too. We have someone in chat from Canada. He ordered his Geon F18X on that extras drop that you guys did a few weeks ago, and it, like, arrived within the week. It up to Canada, which is, like, freaking amazing how you guys did that with shipping too. So, like, props to whoever you guys are utilizing as, like, your shipper for, like, fulfillment. Like, that's just amazing. Yeah, because I have a couple things on group buy from you guys over at Divinikey. Yeah, 2 days later, he ordered, like, from shipping from the Divinikey warehouse to Canada. That's just crazy to me. For that Geon F18X drop. So, like, that's super sick. So it's nice. I mean, we have people here in chat who, like, genuinely love Divinikey and what y'all are doing. So, and I think it was really cool too, like, to see you guys and your team at your meet and talking with other members of the community, seeing folks who are, like, either work for you guys or people who are, like, your close friends and family. I think that's really, really cool what the folks at Divinikey do. I just really support what you guys are doing over there. And again, you're one of the vendors, like, I would absolutely recommend and, like, tell people, whether it be on my social media or just in general, like, if you want a good vendor and you're based in the United States, or if you guys have good international shipping options for international customers, you are a vendor I'd absolutely recommend. So yeah, the Tess65 is a great board. Like I said, I think Divinikey did a fantastic job with this board and knocked it out of the park. And I still am wrapping my peanut brain around how the heck y'all pulled this board off at the price point. Again, my buddy and I purchased our Tess65s at the original group buy price. But even with the adjusted price you guys have now for your in stock Tess65s, it's still amazing. I know none of us are particularly fond of the current political situation here in the United States. I'm not here to talk. That's neither here nor there about it. But it's just kind of the reality of how we interact with this hobby, especially getting things from overseas. But the fact that you guys, even with your adjusted price, this is still an amazing board for the $80 to $90 with the adjusted price. That's fantastic. So, and also at Divinikey, I have two things on group buy from you guys. I have the Constance TKL, which whenever those come in, I cannot wait to build that on stream. That's going to be a great board. I cannot wait. And I also have GMK Black and Gold from you guys, which is another GMK keycap set I am very, very excited to get. Which will be really cool. Yeah, so, dude, I can't wait to get GMK Black and Golds. Fun fact about me, I'm a big soccer fan, and here in Los Angeles, the soccer team I really like is called Los Angeles Football Club, and GMK Black and Gold is, the exact same colorway and, design aesthetic for that keycap set. So I'm very much going to do, an LAFC-themed keyboard build with that set. I have a board I think will work with it. Oh, dude, I can't wait, dude. I got the Constance TKL. I got the brown with the copper weight, and I got it in wing keyless. And I'm gonna put GNK Sloth and then the Gateron root beer floats in that board. So a really cool board. God damn it! I bent a pin. Well, sorry guys, I bent the pin right there. So I'll come back to that switch. Well, there's always one pin. Yeah. All right, Carl. Yeah, if you want to come back, dude, we'll probably be on here for another 45-ish minutes. So yeah, dude. But thank you, man, for dropping by. It's really, again, I just want to say, dude, I love what you guys at Divinikey do. For those who are in the chat, Carl Anthony, again, he's one of the guys over at Divinikey. So really good people. Again, if you missed the Divinikey meet or they're hoping to do it next year, Divinikey, they're a really cool little company. It's just a small team of people who are just really passionate about keyboards based here in Los Angeles. And yeah, they got together and founded the company Divinikey about 5 years ago, and they really good vendor. And especially for group buys, I talk with some newer people in the hobby who are nervous about group buys. There are certain vendors, if you do a group buy with them, you are going to get your product. Places like Oblatsky or Novel Keys or J. Yeah, so this particular board, it's really cool. So the original, it was ran in Q4 of 2024. And Divinikey wanted to run a CNC aluminum keyboard for $65 starting price. And my buddy and I joined the original group buy, and we were just really intrigued by the board. Both my buddy and I were more into the high-end, enthusiast level boards. But we wanted to get this board because for $65, full aluminum board with solder as an option, aluminum plates, you cannot beat that. That's a really, really good. Yeah. So, hey, yo, yeah, we actually have Divinikey here, which is really cool. So, I really want to thank the Divinikey folks. Now, one thing about this for people who are on here on stream and who are maybe watching the VOD later on my YouTube channel, this is not a sponsored stream by Divinikey. My buddy and I purchased these boards with our own money. I built my board a couple months ago when it came in. My buddy has just been so busy, he hasn't had the time. So he asked me if I wanted to build it, and he said I was welcome to build his board on stream. So these are boards that my buddy and I, we paid our own money for these boards. But like I said, Divinikey is a company that I genuinely believe in and support the good work that they're doing. I've purchased a lot of stuff through them. They're geographically, they're very close to me. Yeah, dude, I'd be happy to do it, dude. I'm if you guys want to work, Divinikey, if you guys want to work, I can shoot you guys I can shoot you guys a message on Discord and give you my official email just for record keeping purposes, so we're a little more official, and whatnot. But you guys are awesome, and like I said, your boards, the stuff that you guys get in, I'm very I think is really good. I could probably do some math in my head, but I've given you guys a lot of money because you guys are so close. If there's a piece of that's a switch or a tool I need, I've had times that like I will order something from Divinikey and I will have it next day with their standard most basic shipping option, because like I said, like geographically I'm probably less than 5 miles from the Divinikey warehouse here in Los Angeles. So that's just something that's just kind of cool with Divinikey. Like, it's just nice having a really great vendor who's local, based here in Los Angeles. Like, I've lived in Los Angeles my whole life. I love LA. Does it have problems? Absolutely. But if you've never had the opportunity to visit Los Angeles, some of my international folks, definitely visit LA. It's a cool place. Like, Los Angeles, Southern California is a really cool place. And I love it here. So there's a switch I'm just adjusting right now. There we go. Yeah, we're good. But yeah, like, it's cool having it. But yeah, yeah, I know it's like, I got my friend Navid's up in Montreal area, but I think that's also cool too. Like, I know I've interacted with some folks in other parts of the planet. Like, I recently built an Alps JO2 from Prototypist, and I got I got to talk with Jay at Prototypist about my JO2 that I did. Which was a really cool board. Give me a second. I'll pull up my JO2 so you guys can see it. So, this JO2 is probably the only JO2 like it in the world. So, this is a Prototypist JO2. I had it custom Cerakoted to this keycap set called DCS Alpine Winter. This keycap set is as rare as hen's teeth. This is from like 10 years ago at Signature Plastics. So, very, very hard set to find. But I had it custom Cerakoted by my Cerakote guy. So people who are interested in custom keyboard builds, like, I have a very good Cerakote and powder coat connection that does great work. Again, you're going to have to pay for the cost, but it's pretty good. So this has amber Alps, which are also one of the more expensive and rare Alps switches. So it has a really cool sound. Actually, let me turn off the vent and you guys can just kind of see, so this is kind of distraction, but really cool board. But this is like kind of a one of a kind, and Jay said like there are custom JO2s he's seen, and then there are custom JO2s. That's kind of how he phrased it. So example, like people who want like get into Alps or like some high-end custom builds, like happy to do them. Again, I'm working on 4 custom commission Alps builds right now. 2 of them are for the same client. So later on stream today, I'm gonna be working on a custom Alps build for a client, and then we're going to get that shipped out Monday to that client. And then he has another second build that I'm doing for him that'll arrive in a couple weeks. So this client reached out to me earlier this week. He wanted a green Alps build and a Geon F18X. So, yeah, I like a full right shift. I don't know. Like, well, especially with Alps, I'll tell you this. This is just the kind of thing with Alps. Keycap compatibility is really kind of weird, and with that particular keycap set, there was no split shift option. So like with Alps, you're very limited on keycap selection. So in most cases, when you do a 60% keyboard on an Alps build, you're really limited to like a full right shift and full backspace. So that's the one thing about it. So like some of my MX builds, like I have like split right shift, split backspace, things like that. But Alps, you're very limited. Like Alps, the only real kind of colorful options you really have keycap-wise are like going to be the DCS Signature Plastic sets, but there's only 6 of them, and they're very hard to track down. Like, I have 4 of the DCS Alps sets, and all 4 of them were a pain in the butt to track down. So that's just kind of the unfortunate thing with it. But I think overall, I think it's a really good opportunity with Alps. And like I said, I did like a 3-hour stream a few days ago, just kind of showing people how Alps work, how to restore them, how to harvest them. But I really recommend people get into Alps. Like I said, I've sent out a couple commission ones. Navid, who's here on stream, I sent him an Alps build and a Frog TKL. I have 2 other Alps commissions I'm working on. I'm working on a 60% Bakaneko that's going to use OG Macintosh keycaps. And then I have another Frog TKL that I'm working on for a client. We're waiting on parts to come in to get both of those commission builds going. And then the client's also going to be sending me that Frog TKL case, so we can get that properly built up and whatnot. So, and on the client, and again, those are builds I'm going to be building on stream and then posting as VODs on my YouTube channel. I think it's just really cool, like just kind of educate people. Crap, there's another pin event. I'll get that one a little later. So I think it's just a fun time overall, just working with builds, whether it's Alps, MX. Like I'm into all the different ones. So like again, I have a bunch of high-end MX. I have high-end Topre. I have high-end Alps. I also got into Hall Effect because of my friend Navid here. Yeah, absolutely, Divinikey. If you, I could talk to Careless, and we could definitely get that board converted to Alps. Like, so if you guys wanted to have, like, I would be happy to do a commissioned Alps build for the Divinikey team just to have on display and for you guys to have on hand, for you guys to share in your socials. It's really cool. Alps, they're very much an obscure niche within a niche, but they're definitely a fun time. And I really recommend people get into Alps. Like, you don't have to be crazy like me and have, like, almost 10 Alps builds. But like having one on hand, like Naveed, I sent him an internal assembly for his Alps. For his Frog TKL. Oh heck yeah, dude! I'd be happy to like do that if you guys have switches in mind. We could definitely talk like what type of switches you guys want to do. Because the one thing with Alps too, depending on what switch. Yeah, so Alps compatibility, that means the PCB is most likely compatible. I don't know about your plates. One thing about Alps, the plates are completely different from MX PCBs. So I think Careless has a Kala TKL plate file on hand that we could have manufactured, and then we could kind of talk about what switches you want to use. Like Alps switches could be as cheap as like 50 cents a switch, and they can go up to be like $20 to $30 a switch. I don't recommend going to the extreme end of $20 to $30 a switch. There's one Alps switch called Neon Green Alps, which are the rarest and most expensive. If you want a Neon Green Alps build, you are going to spend between $20 to $30 a switch. So if you want to do a TKL or a full size, you are talking $2,000 to $3,000 just for switches. It's absolutely insane. I don't recommend ever doing that for Alps. Oh yeah, it's absolutely insane. Those switches kind of blew up in a lot of the keyboard forums before COVID, and the people just bought them all up, and now they're pretty much all bought up. So like if you want green Alps, you're going to be paying a pretty penny for them, and it's just scalpers who bought them all up, unfortunately. So Alps switches are kind of weird. So you can only to get original Alps switches. They're not manufactured anymore. Alps stopped manufacturing them in the early 2000s. So you're gonna have to get the switches from old keyboards from the 1980s and 1990s. So like I can kind of walk you guys. We can kind of interface and kind of talk about what Alps switches you would want. Do you want clicky? Do you want tactile? Do you want linear? And depending on the type of switch, like realistically, I would recommend you guys, for your guys, if you just want to build on hand for the office and the team, I'd recommend like either blue clicky Alps or like brown. You could do brown tactile or even orange tactile Alps. Those are all really affordable. You can get those between $1 to about $3 a switch. Like for example, in the background behind me, on my little window up here, there's a Geon F18X built with blue Alps, and those are probably my favorite Alps switches of all time. But I have pretty much every major Alps switch type on hand, with the exception of a few I'm still trying to track down. But like I said, we can kind of work out, or heck, I could go over to your office and I could bring some of the Alps builds, and you guys could like try out like whatever Alps switch what you guys want. And then once we figure out a switch, then I could take the board, we could build it, have Careless make the plate, and then we'd be good to go. So, yeah, my process for Alps, again, I find old boards online that are preferably dead, and then we go through and then then I harvest the switches, because usually these older boards, the switches are clapped. Like because a lot of these old Alps boards were tools. Like they didn't think in the 80s and 90s that like these boards were worth saving or taking care of. These were workhorses of their day. So the boards were used and abused. They were in businesses. They were in schools. So they're pretty clapped. Yeah. So I would tell you there is a company that produces modern day Alps. So look into they're a Canadian company called Matthias. So when Alps went out of business, when Alps is still around, but when Alps sold off their keyboard division, they sold the licensing for Alps switches to a Canadian company called Matthias, and they produce new production Alps switches. Now, I think they get you 80 to 90% of the way there of OG switches. If I could tell someone, you want to go with OG Alps switches. But Matthias switches are great because that takes out the really hard part of Alps, which is the restoration part. You still have to solder them in and track down like a plate, a PCB, and a compatible board. But a lot of the work in Alps is restoring the switches. So if you can bypass the restoration part and go with Matthias switches, they have a tactile, they have a clicky, they have a linear, so they have the three main types, and they're great switches. And Matthias actually sells their switches in bulk, but they sell them and ship them from Canada. So I really don't buy a lot of them because I don't want to, because with the current political dynamic, like the switches, which should be relatively affordable, like, are going to be really expensive. Yeah, so Matthias sells them in bulk. You can buy like a pack of 200 switches for like $50, but it's the shipping and the tariffs that kind of will make the switches more. So Matthias is a really good company, and they produce the Alps switches with the official Alps license. Alps Electric is still around today, but they mainly focus on like enterprise, professional grade electronics. So that's one thing to kind of see with it. So like, but Alps, yeah, stocking Matthias Alps are great. Like if someone wants like modern day Alps switches, Matthias are probably the only like new production Alps switches I recommend. There are other clones from other companies based out of like China, but I really think, but the fact that Matthias has that pedigree and that direct connection to the original Alps Electric company is, I think, what makes them a good recommendation. So that's one thing that's really good with Matthias. So yeah, oh heck yeah, because Carolus over at Carolingian.com, he actually carries the Matthias switches. He just happens to have a few thousand of them in his warehouse that he's able to sell. So, which is really cool. So you know, definitely reach out to Carolus too if you'd wanted to sell like Matthias switches. But yeah, no, absolutely. If you can carry Matthias switches, like, I mean, they're also not very expensive at all. Like, the fact that you can get 200 of them for like $50 on their website is freaking awesome. So that's something I think is really, really wonderful. So we're pretty much done soldering. I got to pull out a couple of these switches. I bent the pins. Yeah. So Matthias or Utemu would be your kind of go-tos. So let me figure out these switches I bent the pins on. And we're going to pull those out and just straighten those pins out. I don't bend pins as much as I used to. When I got into the hobby, I would bend pins all the time. Yep, they're bent. It's okay. Let me get my tweezers out and we'll do those. But yeah, so definitely... Yeah, so RXCRX, you are absolutely correct. Again, Matthias, again, it's not a one-to-one recreation of original Alps switches, but I think, like, to quote Carolus, they get you to like 80 to like 90% of the way there. And if someone is like a novice and kind of intimidated by the whole harvesting or sourcing original Alps switches, or just can't do it because of the price, I think Matthias is a great option to experience Alps. Now, someone who's an enthusiast, I would consider myself an enthusiast of Alps switches. I would always recommend going with OG Alps switches. Absolutely. But if that is not something that you can do, or maybe you're in a part of the world where finding Alps keyboards is prohibitively expensive, like, I think Matthias is a really good option to get new production switches. So I think that's just a really good thing. I bent these pins. I really don't want to deal with the hassle of straightening them out, so we're just going to get the other two extras. Let me make sure I put these in straight, and then we'll solder these last two in. Give me a second, folks. Don't bend on me. But overall, like, these are just really good options. I think Alps are just really fun. But yeah, Divinikey, folks, like, absolutely, I'd be happy to do a custom commission Alps build for your team to have on hand. Oh, there you go. Totally disagree. Go pine neon greens out of the box and Carolus is on here. Yo, Carolus. Like, Carolus, I think, is like one of the best people within the Alps community next to like Sharasan. Like, I don't know, Carolus, I'm gonna give you a big like shout out and praise right now, my man. So, yeah. Yes, yeah, those pine neon green Alps are the super, super expensive high end. But one thing I want to say, we got Carolus on here. Carolus is a good guy. Like, if you need like parts to make modern Alps builds, Carolus is gonna be your go-to guy. Like, if you want to like source TKL or 60% PCB plate files, Carolus has been a godsend when it comes to plate files. He's been so helpful in my Alps journey. So I'm just like, yeah, Carolus, I'm jealous of your pine neon green build. I'm jealous. But yeah, just like overall, like, I think for people who want to get into modern Alps, like making a modern day board Alps, like converting it to Alps, like Carolus is going to be, and his Discord server are going to be like one of the best places to go. Like, Carolus is extremely knowledgeable on everything Alps, and also the people within his Discord community are absolutely amazing. Like, they're like encyclopedias of just Alps knowledge, and a lot of what I've learned about Alps has come from Carolus and his Discord server. So yeah, so sorry for. So I just wanted to give like Careless just the utmost praise and just comment and just recommendation. Like he's a great guy. Yeah, oh yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Your Discord server is absolutely legit. So I am done soldering. So let me just clean off my soldering tip. But yeah, like really good wealth of knowledge, and the thing that's nice, we have people in the Careless server from all over the world. So we have people from Europe and other parts of the world, like and also in Asia, Korea, and whatnot. So, all right, so we have our Tess65 fully soldered. So what we're going to do now is we're going to prepare to put this assembly, prepare it for top mount, and then putting into the keyboard. So, again, we're working on the Tess65. This is a custom commission I'm doing for a friend. So he and I bought these boards together in the original Tess65 group buy late last year. So yeah, and it's a navy one, so we went with blue. So I got the green one. I'll show you my Tess65 just so you can see a Tess65 that's actually built up. So really great board. Original price was $65 due to the uncertain political situation here in the United States. Divinikey does have in stock versions of these boards now, but they have a price adjustment. They're between like $80 and $90. But even with that price adjustment, this is a really good board for the money. Like even the adjusted price of between 80 and 90, this is a freaking awesome board. I mean, my buddy and I, when we bought it, we paid $70 each for our boards because we did this extra stainless steel add-on weight. Gives a little more weight, gives a little more heft, makes the board feel substantial. So this is a really, really awesome board. Yeah, so yeah, also Divinikey, like too, like for the build, the potential build we would do for you, like I would absolutely have Careless collaborate because most likely we would get a plate from him. So I mean, Careless, if you're down Divinikey, they have a board that they're interested in converting to Alps just to kind of have on for their team and in their office. I mean, if you're down, yeah, Divinikey, let me know. I would be happy to do it, and I'm pretty sure Careless would be happy to collaborate on that particular project for your team, just to have that in your office and have that as part of like whatever display you have, or if someone else wants to use it, heck yeah. But also my Tess65, this is about $100 all in, and I put the Novel Keys Heisenberg set on. So as soon as it's green, I had to do a Breaking Bad theme. I'm a big fan of this TV show, so like my Tess65 is just super fun. I love it. So really, really, really fun build. So yeah, Careless is dope, like really cool guy. So we're just going to kind of put that to the side. So we're going to top mount this. The cool thing about the Tess65, you have two options. You can either do, oh yeah, dude, breaking the Novel Keys Heisenberg. It was a birthday gift from my friend who I'm building this keyboard for. So like one of our all-time favorite TV shows is Breaking Bad. And he surprised me for my birthday last year with that Heisenberg set. I don't know how he tracked it down because the Novel Keys hasn't sold this in a number of years. So I was just so ecstatic when I opened the box. I'm like, yeah, that's sick. This is awesome. And when I got it, I really didn't know what board I wanted to put it on. And so I just held on to it for a few months. And when I saw the Tess65, and my buddy and I were talking about getting into the Tess65 group buy, and I saw that sage color from Divinikey. I'm like, oh yeah, I know what Keycaps said I'm going to put on my Tess65. It's going to be the sage. So it's really cool. So it's a really fun board, and I really love this project. And I think for someone who's a novice or entry level, like this is you cannot go wrong with this board. So yeah, like I said, my buddy wants to top mount this board, so we're going with he wants a nice stiff typing feel with this particular board. So that's what we're doing. So again, like sorry. Some of these top mounts can be a little bit tricky getting in. Stay in my screwdriver, please. Thank you. So pretty good board. But yeah, overall, it's a Tess65, really cool, and I like that you have different options for building. Again, you have the tri-mode PCB, you have hot swap, you have solder. You have all the different plate materials for every type of preference you could have in the keyboard hobby. So I love also, too, that while this is being a budget board, some of the budget boards I think oftentimes are limited by like layout support, plate material, mounting styles. So I really like that with the price point you guys targeted, you also gave the builder like options for like what they want. Also, there's the foam kit included. Like my buddy and I, we're not foam guys, so like there's no foam in this build. That's just not part of like the sound profile we like. But if someone wants a foamy sound profile, like they can absolutely do that. So that's the really cool thing with this board is like you have choices and you have options on how you want to build it, how you want to configure it to kind of tailor it to your needs as like a user. So that's one thing I think is just fantastic with this particular board. So we got our top mount screws in, so we're going to put in our ribbon cable, And then we'll do the, again, hidden case screws. And I think we'll be ready to put on the keycap. So just also for reference too, the switches we're using are modded Cherry MX Ergo clears that have had the stems trimmed. Because one thing about Cherry MX Ergo clears, particularly with GMK, which is what we're using today, Ergo clears, you have to get a Geon stem trimmer. And trim these stems, or else over time you are going to damage your valuable and expensive GMK set. So my buddy did the stem trimming. He lubed these, he filmed them, and he spring swapped and oiled the spring. So these switches have had pretty much every mod in the book done to them. So that's really good. So let me check down the bottom case, and we'll attach this board together. So this board uses a ribbon cable. So I like the ribbon. Some people aren't biggest fans of ribbon cables. I personally like them over JSTs, but again, like I said, everything in the keyboard hobby is personal preference. So the Ergo clears are tactiles, whereas MX blacks are going to be linear switches. So Ergo, if it's just, I think it's like the Cherry MX Brown on steroids. It's a very, very tactile switch, much more tactile than an MX Brown. I think that's just, I think that's part of why my buddy is a big fan of tactile switches. He's kind of the one who got me into tactiles. One switch one of my all-time favorite switches are Gateron Grayish, and my buddy, who I'm building this board for, is the one who got me into Gateron Grayish. So really, really good kind of switch type, and he has really good taste in keyboard stuff. Like, again, he's the one who introduced me to a bunch of really cool boards like the W1AT. Oh, dude, Gateron Grayish, I have it in my W1AT. I shipped a bunch to Naveed, actually, up in Canada. It's such a great switch. It's so underrated, and I'm shocked that more people don't give it attention. Like, that is probably one of the best tactile switches for the frickin' money. Like, it is such a great switch. I've had hundreds of them at a certain point. Yeah, it's such a great switch. And it sucks that people don't have, like, when I see a lot of people who do builds, like, especially like the content, no jabs into content creators, but like, when I see content creators like use Gateron, like do builds, it's awesome. But like, I wish Gateron Grayish was more out there with some of our folks who are much bigger in the content creation space, because it is a great switch for not a lot of money. Like, it is very much a budget switch through and through, and it doesn't feel like a budget switch, and it doesn't sound like a budget switch. Oh yeah, Longjing T is a really good tactile too. I love also Gateron Type R tactiles. That's a really, really nice switch. I did a custom commission build for a friend. I'd say about a month and a half ago. That had Gateron Type Rs. I have the Type Rs in my Boop. And they're fantastic. So like, I love my Boop Redux. Like, that's such a great little fun board, and the Gateron Type Rs are fantastic. So I'm a big Gateron fan. Yeah, I think, well, the Type Rs are also really expensive for what they are. Yeah, I mean, the Type Rs are expensive, but also they're also a short travel distance switch. So if you don't like short travel distance, you're not gonna like the Type Rs. That's just kind of the things with the Type Rs. You just kind of either love that short travel distance or you don't. So that's just kind of the thing we want to make sure. So we're going a little longer than an hour and a half, but that's fine. We're almost done. Folks, we'll probably be done here in the next, I'd say like 10 or so minutes, or 10, 15 minutes. So we have the board all assembled, I think, for the most part. I'm just double checking, I got all those internal case screws. So this is a really pretty board. Again, we got that top right blocker that just looks awesome. And then again, we got that really cool stainless steel weight. One thing about this too, I love the side provo. I love the faux seam Divinikey that you guys did. I think that's a really, really cool, just kind of like faux seam. And the hidden screw design, I think you guys did a really good implementation. I'll just tell you, I'm not going to name boards, but I have some boards in my personal collection that do hidden screw that don't do it in the best way. I think the implementation you guys did is really nice, and I think pretty easy and accessible. So that's really cool. So I'll show you guys the keycap set that we're going to be utilizing today for my buddy's build. We're going with GMK Blue Alert. Since it's blue, kind of asked my buddy, I have a ton of GMK sets on hand, so I kind of ran him through, and I wanted to do beige, and I figured the only blue beige set I got is Blue Alert. So we're also going to add the alert row to kind of add a little bit of extra flair to this set. So let me grab, let me put my all the Divinikey hardware out of the way really quick, just so my buddy can have all the extra parts he would want. So give me that. Cool. All right, so we got those. Put those to the side. Let's get my GMK set. So, all right, we'll start putting some of these keycaps on. So, good old GMK. So, really, really good set. I really like it. So, like I said, I'm kind of unabashedly a GMK guy. So, are they expensive? Absolutely. And I think there's also, GMK also isn't the end all be all. Like, I think for keycaps, there's a ton of great people doing keycaps and keycap manufacturing. Like, you have Keykobo, like, you have, again, like, PBT fans and Signature Plastics and a ton of other companies, I think, doing great work within the keyboard space. But for me, like, I am just very much kind of a big fan of just GMK and some of their design work. But again, they are not the end all be all. And also the one thing that's really nice, like, is with keycaps is other companies will do like the same design for a lot cheaper. So like Keykobo oftentimes will do like the same designs as like certain GMK sets, which I think is really cool. So that's one thing I think is just really nice with some of these boards. There are choices and there are options. So I really just enjoy working with boards like this. And again, I have like 40 GMK sets at this point, so I don't want to think about how much that is in dollar signs, but it's very much most of my personal builds have GMK. But like example, I have boards that are just fun. Like again, I'll put a fun keycap set on them. So like for example, like I have a Matrix Navi. It's like a $600 board. I put a $65 keycap set on from Ergo because it's SpongeBob. So like I don't know, I'm a guy who put a $65 keycap set on a $600 board. So it's just like stuff like that. You can just kind of have fun with keycaps. So I think I'm also really cool. And also, hey, Divinikey, I want a question for you guys. Are you guys going to be a vendor for the Class 100 from MM Studio? I don't know if you guys are allowed to say that or whatnot, but like, I'll tell you, that's a board I'm like really, really excited to join the group by on. Like, that's a board I'm definitely going to buy with my own money. Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm a neat freak, dude. I like all my GMKs like neatly organized. Like, my friend literally stores his GMK in like bags and he just throws them in a box. I'm like, I keep all my GMK boxes because I think they look cool. They do take up a lot of space, and especially if you have like a lot of sets like I do because I'm crazy, it's just, yeah, it gets kind of unruly when you have that many GMK sets. So yeah, I keep all my keycaps in the original boxes because also too, maybe you have to resell them one day. So like, it's nice. So we're gonna put the alert row on this. So we're gonna do that. So we're also gonna do the blue escape as well. So we're also going step caps on this particular board today. So, and also for the layout option, we went 7U bottom row on this board. So that's one thing that's really nice with this particular board. It's nice that there's, I think, Divinikey, one thing I think you guys did really well too is having a lot of layout support. Like having a 7U bottom row, having 6.25, step caps lock, split backspace, ANSI or ISO enter on the solder PCB, I think is really good to give people those options for layouts so they can really kind of make it custom for what they want. Oh, dude, GMK Skydolk, I love it. So we got that beautiful bottom row going. Crap, I forgot my arrow keys. Give me a second. They're in my first tray over here, so I want to put those arrow keys in here, and then we'll put some of these boards together, and then we'll test. I'll plug it in. We'll do test everything on VIA. We shouldn't have any issues. This isn't like an Alps build where like switches are 40 years old, and they sometimes work, sometimes they don't. Where's my escape? Where is it? Yeah, where did I put it? Ah, there we go. Sorry, my alert row's on my other keycap tray. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Like I'm a big 7U person, but I also get like why people like 6.25U bottom rows. Like the custom commission build that I did for my friend. It was a KBD 8X Mark III. He specifically, I asked him, do you want a 7U bottom row or do you want a 6.25? And he's actually he's left-handed. So he does a lot of interaction with the spacebar with his left hand. So he really actually preferred that 6.25U bottom row. So it's just kind of interesting, like what is the personal preference of the user. Again, for me, if a board supports 7U bottom row, I'm going to put a 7U spacebar on it. That's just what I like to do. And especially like for my Alps builds, most of my Alps builds are 7U spacebars anyway. Even like the OG keycaps. So, but yeah, like I said, but if I'm doing a commission and someone wants 6.25, I will absolutely do that. Because again, it's the client's build and I want to give them what they want. So honestly, 7U, I prefer it for the aesthetic, not the sound. Sound profile could definitely be part of it. Hey, Alps are like the way to go. I love Alps. Again, also for those of you who are curious, I am going to be doing a stream later today around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to be putting together a Frog TKL for a client. This is probably my most high-end client. I'm doing 2 keyboards for this guy. And he reached out to me yesterday after commissioning a Geon F18X with green linear Alps, and he said, hey, can I commission you to do a frog TKL with orange Alps? And I looked at my inventory, and I'm like, I have all those. I texted him, I have all those parts on hand. I can build it on Saturday and ship it out Monday. The Geon F18X is going to take more time because I had to order parts from Careless, and we had to track down a Geon F18X in the colorway he wanted and the layout he wanted. And he found a user in Australia who had one. So the user in Australia is mailing that keyboard to me, and then I'll build everything for that client, and then we'll ship it out to him. But I told him the Frog, I have everything on hand, so that's something that's going to be pretty crazy. So that's just really nice. So, but yeah, so that's something that's going to be really kind of cool. So like, again, also if you're interested in high-end commission builds, like absolutely reach out to me. Like again, like I was showing on stream, like I also have access to a Cerakote and powder coat guy. Like this is my one-of-a-kind prototype is JJ02. Like this is custom Cerakote. This is an Alps Amber build with DCS Alpine Winter, which is an extremely rare keycap set. But this Cerakote job that he did, the color match the keycap set, is absolutely gorgeous. So like I have several builds in my personal collection that are custom Cerakoted. So if you're interested in like either high-end Alps or just a high-end keyboard that would be really bespoke and custom to you, like I'm absolutely happy to do it. Like again, I'm working on 4 custom commission Alps builds right now, 2 of which are for the same client. So this guy, it was kind of weird. This was the first client I got where like, this is a high-end client. Like some of the clients I work with, I've done so far, like more budget conscious. They want to like, we want to make sure like they're doing it. So that's one thing that's just kind of interesting. We really want to be cautious of like clients. And this is the first, this client said, dude, like do it. And I'm like, cool. These are the 2 highest end builds I've done to date. So we're just going to do my row here really quick. I just want to make sure I have the right ones for that. So I want my page up. Give me a second. There we go. So I want to make sure my profiles are good on those. So yeah, we're good there. Let's get a page down, and then we'll get my end key, and I think we'll be good on this board. And I think that will be kind of it, folks. So let me just check my profiles, and I think we're good. That came out fantastic, folks. So here we go. Let me just put my GMK box to the side, and I want to do a quick little sound test with y'all. And then we're gonna Divinikey, I'll let you guys know. I'll be posting. Once we're done on stream, I'm gonna go get some pictures of this, and then I'll post them on my Instagram, and then post them on your Discord server, and I'll tag you guys on social media, so if you guys want to repost it. Also, I can send you the original photo files as well if you guys would like to showcase some of those pictures on your website or socials. Absolutely. So, but I just wanted to kind of showcase this build right here. I think that came out freaking awesome with that alert row. And again, that blue colorway of this board I think is really cool. Hold it up to the other camera just so y'all can see it. I think that is a really, really beautiful board. That side profile, I think just the colors on this thing are fantastic. So, really, really cool board. I want to do a quick little, while we're on here, I'll do a quick test on VIA really quick just to make sure everything is working. And I think we'll be good to go. This is a really cool board. And again, this is a commission build that I did for a friend. We bought these boards together with our own money because this was just a project we genuinely believed in. Oh, I forgot it's Vile. So, really, really cool board. I love my Tess65. My buddy is really excited to get his Tess65 finally assembled and working. So we're just going, I'm in Vile right now. I'm just doing a matrix tester, and we are just testing all of our switches. That's not programmed. All right, so I just got to set up the layout really quick on this board, and we should be good to go. So we have a 7U. We're going to go to our key map, and we are pretty much good to go. All right, folks, I just tested everything. This board is pretty much good to go. I just tested everything in Vile, and we are good to go. So let me just unplug it so it doesn't make my computer go haywire. I'd love to do a little sound test for y'all while we're on stream, and then I'll let y'all go on your way. So let me just do it. Let me see if I can get the mic lowered a little bit better. So let's get this microphone down here. There we go. All right, folks, let's do a little sound test. Let's see how this goes. All right, I'm gonna put my mic back where it goes so it's just a little more comfortable for me. But yeah, I think that was a fantastic board, Divinikey. I think you guys, of course, knocked it out of the park with this board. So I just want to say the people who came through on the stream, thanks for joining me at this early early time of day. These Ergo clears. So this is a Tess65. It's currently in stock at Divinikey. You can get it between $80 and $90 depending on how you configure it. It is probably one of the best entry-level budget boards that gives you a full CNC aluminum board. You can get a stainless steel weight add-on. You have a ton of layout support. You also have, again, tri-mode PCB where you can have wireless, hot swap, solder, every single plate material available. And they have a ton of colors so you can match it perfectly and customize it the way you want. So that's one thing I just think is really great, folks. So again, all my socials are up there. If you are interested in seeing a custom high-end Alps build, again, I'll be on stream today, probably around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time later today, doing an Orange Frog build for a client. So that's what we're going to do there. But I just want to say thank you, folks, and also thank you to the people at Divinikey. You guys, I really believe in you guys, and continue doing the great work within the keyboard hobby that you guys are doing. So thank you, everybody. This will be on my YouTube channel if you want to go back to the VOD. So I should have that uploaded probably tomorrow. So thank you, everybody.